So good afternoon, everyone. I want to welcome you to the first of two listening and learning sessions with the community. My name is Dr. RaShawn M. Adams. I am the acting superintendent of schools. I want to thank you all for coming this afternoon to this virtual space. On today's call, I'm going to try to go over just a few high-level areas and items. We have a bunch of district employees here who will undoubtedly be of service to not only the community, but as well as to our students. We have, and I'll go over a few things regarding our summer school, what our anticipation is like for returning to full in-person learning in September, just some of the precautions that we're taking care of for this summer as we get ready to lead back into the full in-person instruction. So let me start with a little background about myself. For those of you who don't know me, I've been with the Asbury Park School District since 2015. A little bit about background. I started my teaching career in 1997 in East Orange Public Schools. Prior to that, I was a student at Trenton State College, which is now the College of New Jersey. Born and raised in Jersey City, New Jersey, and went to the public schools there, graduate of Lincoln High School, class of 91. So I was an elementary education history major in college, then went on and got my master's degree in educational leadership when they changed the name from Trenton State to the College of New Jersey. Most people who have graduated from Trenton State, we really don't like the name TCNJ, but it kind of has grown on us. In 2011, I went back for my doctorate degree at Keene University and finished in 2015. And so I went through a gamut of in my prior life. I was a charter school director / superintendent for 3 years at the Queen City Academy Charter School in Plainfield, New Jersey. Was a principal in Newark, as well as a vice principal, assistant principal in Irvington, New Jersey, principal in Plainfield, principal in Franklin, a central office administrator in Newark Public Schools South Ward, which I was responsible for 12 schools, including 2 comprehensive high schools and 2 magnet schools. Those comprehensive high schools were Shabazz High School and Week Wake. And then the 2 magnet schools were the famous Arts High School and Technology High School. And so that's a little bit about my background, where I'm from, how I've ascended to this role. Prior to this present role as acting superintendent, I was the director of planning, research, and assessment. As you can see by my shirt, it says over here, Dr. Adams, director. This past year, I was the HR manager. So in that role here, I was the middle school principal from 2015 until 2017. I've had an array of experiences, including evaluating all of the district's principals from 2017 up until present. I have been the person directly responsible for handling our employee support related to the pandemic over the last year, as well as working with our community partners related to the Monmouth County Health Department and so on. So that's a little bit about me and my background in terms of this is going into my 24th year in education, 24, 25, somewhere around there. It kind of gets lost after the 20s. And so that's what brings me here today. I wanted to just give you a brief, little bit about myself in terms of how I assumed this role and responsibility. This is an acting role in terms of right now the board is in transition and they're going through their process in order to find the permanent superintendent. And it is my task and duty to make sure that we are seamlessly transitioning from Dr. Gray's administration into when a permanent successor is selected by the Board of Education. That process is underway. The board is working with New Jersey school boards to go through that process. But my role and my task is to make sure that I am overseeing the day-to-day operations of the district along with the various other directors, and looking forward to placing the focus and attention to what we now get ready to embark on in this upcoming September. As you know, we will be coming back full-time in-person instruction starting September the 9th. We have our convocation, which is the 7th, and the 8th. Teachers will meet with their respective building principals, but the first day of instruction in person will be a half day on September 9th, followed by a PM professional development day. And then that Friday will also have a professional development day with an AM full-time in person. And then our first full week of school will take place on Monday, September the 13th. It will be our first full day going back. So what does that mean? How are we here? And what does that mean to be full-time in-person instruction? And what does that mean in terms of our preparation? So if you look on our social media, I've already been meeting with our custodian engineers, our buildings and grounds. I've been meeting with the building principals in order to get the best information, set the best timelines in order for us to receive all of our students. There was recently an article in the Coastal here, or you can't really see it because of the background, so you see it kind of fading in and out. It kind of outlines a lot of information for you. So if you haven't picked up the Coastal, this would be a good time to do that, as well as look out on our district webpage. We right now have online registration going on with our pre-K, as well as registering any new students into the community. When we return in September, we will have taken every precaution with the guidance of the Monmouth County Health Department, as well as the CDC recommendations and requirements to receive all of our students. We will be beginning our full wraparound services for our students in September. We've been working very diligently with the Office of Curriculum and Instruction to make sure that we are ready to receive our students, as well as our TLAA after school component through our grant. And so those are just a few of the areas that we've been, concentrating on. But right now, our main focus is making sure our buildings are clean, ready, and prepared to receive all of our students. We've been preparing in terms of our curriculum and instruction, making sure all of our materials and resources are ready to receive them. As you know, last year, we are basically a one-to-one district. In speaking and meeting with our curriculum and instruction and our IT department, we now will be providing our K-2 students with Chromebooks. That distribution will take place in I want to say in the second to third week of September. That will give us an opportunity to really get in all of our students and our community in terms of our new transfers, our new registrants. So that way we can make sure that they have all the adequate supplies and resources. We will be requiring masks on in school until that mandate is lifted. All staff and students will be required, vaccinated or not, to wear a mask. Right now, we're seeing each other's faces because we're all in our respective individual locations. However, When we return in September, we will abide by the guidelines and the recommendations of the CDC. And as of right now, the New Jersey executive order from the governor is still mandating masks. As you know, right now, the COVID Delta variant is making an increase. And so we want to make sure that we're doing our part to mitigate any crisis or concerns within the district. One of the things that just recently I had a conversation with the Monmouth County Health Department. We are in talks to plan an in-district local vaccination site or clinic rather. So we're going to be encouraging members of our community that wish to get vaccinated. We're going to provide that opportunity through a location within the district. This will help us to ensure that we mitigate any potential crisis as the school year comes. I can say with a high level of confidence as being the HR director that last year we did not have cases of student to staff transmission of COVID. We did not have issues of student to student either. We were very cautious. We were very careful. Our custodians did an amazing job in making sure they were using all of the latest cleaning practices and technology to ensure that we provided the best learning environment, whether we were hybrid or not, for our students. But this year, we will not have synchronous or asynchronous instruction. We will have full in-person instruction. And so we'll be placing those marquees up on our various schools. We'll be placing that information on our district website, as well as our various social media platforms to make sure that we are informing the community as much and as frequently as we can in order for them to know that come September, we'll be making and providing the best learning environment for all of our students in this community. We pride ourselves on providing the best wraparound services that you would find in this area. Full day pre-K to our after-school programs, to our athletic programs. We pride ourselves in the opportunity to provide for the whole child. One of the areas that we are going to be uniquely focusing in on is the social emotional upon our return. No, our students have really not been in school for the greater part since March of 2020. I think we went out right before St. Patrick's Day. And then last year we had the combination of the hybrid as well as the in-person instruction. So this year coming back will be the first time within about a 16 to 18 month period where our students will be back in full time with all of their classmates, with all of their teachers. And so we want to make sure that we're providing a social emotional safe environment where students have the opportunity to express what some of those fears and concerns are, as well as our staff. We know that right now, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of information is out there, and we want to make sure that we're providing that best information and we're providing the best support for our students from a social emotional perspective. Asbury Park has been on the forefront of providing social emotional learning and being a social emotional learning district for the greater part of the last 5 years. We take that very seriously. We know that if we can provide the opportunity to help our students channel some of that anger or frustration or uncertainty in order to make them better equipped to deal with the learning aspect, that is one of the things that we've been doing. We've been also concentrating on also reducing our number of suspensions. We've been working with our special education department to make sure that we're working in terms of our classification rates, providing what is called tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 instruction. So tier 1, getting back to the classroom, is the teacher making those adjustments in the classroom. tier 2 are the supports, let's say from a reading coach or the reading specialist. We have one of our coaches on here, as well as some of our curriculum instruction supervisors. And then tier 3 is where we begin to know that we've exhausted all of those necessary supports and services for students, and now we move them to our special education and our student special services area to be able to evaluate and to provide those instructional supports. But we look at it from a holistic standpoint, not just from the academic area, but also from the emotional, from the needs. We were very cognizant during this pandemic time to make sure that none of our students went hungry. We were also very cognizant during this time to make sure that none of our staff were without necessary financial supports. And so we as a district have taken on the task of providing for all of our stakeholders very carefully, very diligently, in order to make sure that as we get ready to move into this next phase, we'll be able to provide for all of our students and staff. And so I really do want to thank all of our district administrators who are on this call, because they have been working very dedicated over the last few years, really behind the scenes. We're getting ready to run into our fall sports, and we have everyone jumping in and taking on multiple roles. I want to thank our athletic director, Mr. Giubino, who's doing a yeoman's job within our athletic area, as well as jumping in to help support in the need of some areas of leadership, as well as our supervisors who at times have come in and provided building support. So we are a very small organization, but many of us wear many, many hats, and it really does not go unnoticed or unappreciated. And so to the community, I say to our community partners out there, from the YMCA to our local businesses to our local politicians, we look to continue those relationships within Asbury Park, within Monmouth County, because all of those resources will continue to be critical as we get ready to move our students from college and career readiness. And we're also looking to begin over this year looking at some apprentice programs for our students who have much more of a tactile, gift. So apprenticeship in plumbing and electrical. So these are some of the other things and areas that we look forward to moving forward with our district. But I would be remiss if I did not talk about some of our high-level academic programs, from our Dream Academy program, where we just graduated our second cohort of students who received their associate's degree from Brookdale Community College, as well as our students in the Promise program, our students in our critical education programs, from the nursing to law and public safety. We are providing a well-rounded opportunity for all of our students. Here we had our largest graduating class in the last few years, and we look to continue to increase those numbers by providing for all of the options and opportunities that our students look for here in Asbury Park. So with that being said, if there are any questions, I would ask that you jump into the chat, and I will do my best to answer them. And then we can, move from there.
Dr. Adams, we did have one question in reference to masks, but you already addressed that.
Okay.
And we have another question asking the number of students who need masks, as Ms. Summerlin is willing to donate 200 free masks, and she's questioning if the PTOs will be accepting donations.
Okay. So Ms. Summerlin, thank you very much. One of the things that we have done with some of the federal funds is to purchase masks for our students. So right now we're utilizing a lot of our ESSA funds to purchase them. However, I know with some of our after school programs and activities, we're going to be this year, last year, we got the ones with AP on them. This year, we're going to be moving to more of the disposable masks. And so what I would say is to reach out and email Mr. Hastings if you would like to make that donation. So that way it can be properly noted and accepted by the board in its formal thank you way and receive those donations properly. And then we can sort of disseminate them according to where we may need them. But one of the things we have done and we continue to do as part of our COVID protocol is to ensure that we have masks for all of our students. But when we start talking about children, I don't know about you, but I've gone through about maybe 10 or 12 masks in the last year or so. And now, although vaccinated, I'm still, sometimes forget and run out the car and then go and get the disposable ones. So I think any donations that you would like to, we'll welcome them.
You can open the floor for any additional questions. I don't see any more in the chat.
Okay. You can unmute everyone.
I just have one question.
Yes,
well, a question and a comment, actually.
Okay.
My first comment in regards to the mask is I'd rather go through their PTOs because of the fact that at least I know exactly where those items are going to our children. So for me, it's easier to donate through PTO than dealing with the board. My question for you is, I've actually met you when you first started at the principal at the middle school. My only concern with you is moving forward, because when I met you back then, you didn't have very good people skills. You're very well educated, but you didn't have great people skills. What have you done within the last couple of months in taking this position to better your people skills to deal with our parents and our community on a better level?
Well, thank you for that question. I think we are all evolving individuals in our lives. I don't think that 7 years ago, we've all had life experience that have altered and changed us. It's always altering us, how we take things into perspective, how we resolve things, how we look to resolve things. So I think natural maturity, natural growth, natural life, all those things have a way of impacting how we see things. I think the other issue is I was tasked with, at that time, going into a place that was the middle school that could not and was looked at as a place of, how could I say this? Not very organized, not very structured. And so in doing that, I had to be very consistent, very stern, very forthcoming, and very direct. I think as we grow and we mature and we live and we learn how to navigate some of those same areas with a level of different assertion. And so I think that that's one of the things that I have taken into consideration as I look to moving forward in this present role. As far as the PTOs are concerned, I would say I would reach out to the building principals because they have, or you can reach out to Ms. Sonia Azaris, who actually works with the PTO and the parent liaisons, who will be an asset to getting the supports of those masks to the individuals that you would like to go about. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
I have a question. My name is Sonia Spina. We haven't met yet. I have a preschooler in Miss Jamie's pre-K3 class, and I'm also the director of communications for the city. So I'm sure I'll work with you on items related to that. But there's just a couple questions that I don't want to, I don't need to bring up now, but I need to know who to talk to sort of get an understanding of these. So Number one, as you know, my hope is we have school, because there's nothing better than full-time school for a 3 or 4-year-old. But if we don't, you know, we've been asking about access to the playground on those days when we are remote, or on the days when we have half days. And, you know, we had a couple days where we did have access, and a lot of the kids that went to Bradley were able to use it. And I think it was great for them to be social in a time when they haven't had that opportunity very much. So that's one thing on my list of items I want to talk to someone about. I want to talk to someone about the food program and how that works for our students. I know things will be different this year, because hopefully everybody is in school full time. And so we'll have more of a normal food service program than we did this past year. Because I wasn't happy with some of the choices that were made to give to our little kids. And really, that's it. I know, you know, we're sort of waiting to hear how it goes. I'm happy to hear that we're supposed to start full time after those half days after Labor Day. But so we'll just keep our fingers crossed.
Okay. So thank you for your question, Ms. Spina. The first question regarding the playground. I think as last year, we were all dealing with the public social distancing guidelines as the school year began. I think as the school year kind of progressed, those guidelines in terms of social distancing began to get relaxed. If you recall, I think the vaccine came on full on around, I want to say March, April was when there was a huge push. So if you look at from this March, which really was 12 months from the initial pandemic onslaught, we really moved very quickly. So with us moving into the springtime, I think New Jersey started opening up and started relaxing a lot of the social distancing, but still requiring the mask. And so some of those things. With access to the playground, I don't think that would be an issue. I think one of the things that we will be coming back full-time in person. So the utilization of that equipment will be part of our regular ongoing school time function, especially for our early childhood area, because that social emotional as well as that gross motor is very important to their cognitive development. So Ms. Lauren Jackson, who's our supervisor of early childhood, who works very well within that area, will make sure that we have all of those things. In terms of the food choices, that was your second area of your second question. The food choices in terms of how we're working with Sedesco, we've actually been updating our food service style. Particularly at the high school, we've kind of changed that. And I'm just trying to go globally because we went from bag lunches and food servicing our students. One of the things that we did during the entire pandemic was we made sure that we were servicing food to the entire community during the entire pandemic. So we had 2 food distribution sites. One was Thurgood Marshall, the other was the upper elementary, or MLK, when it was the middle school, but then, you know, is the upper elementary. So all during the pandemic, whether we were virtual or whether we were in person, we were providing students with bag lunches. One of the things that we would suggest, or I would suggest, in terms of making sure that food choices, Sedesco is pretty reliable and pretty open in terms of conversations about food choices. If you don't know, we are a no pork district, so we don't serve any pork products to any of our students. And so we want to make sure that not only is the food healthy, but we also have certain requirements in terms of a full service lunch. So that would include a meal, a snack, juice, or milk, and that's including in the breakfast and the lunch. But the other thing that we have done, which is not very well known, in our evening and after school programs, we've provided dinner. So we are one of those few districts that provided breakfast, lunch, and dinner for a large segment of our students throughout the pandemic. whether it was our after-school programs or whether it was during programs. And I did address we are going to will be full-time in September, full-time in person. Now, that is right now where we're going. We're hoping to still continue that, but that's also predicated on the governor. And right now with this Delta variant, so as I mentioned earlier, I'm not sure if you were on, we will be working with the Monmouth County Department of Health to provide an in-district vaccination clinic for those in our community that would like to get vaccinated. As you know, our numbers in the Asbury Park community are relatively low compared to some of our Monmouth County partners. And so we want to make sure that we are providing access for those that would like access to vaccinations. So I hope I answered your question.
You did, and I'm sure I'll be in touch with more questions. And then just so you all know that there's 2 Monmouth County free vaccine and testing clinics coming up. There's actually one Thursday, there's one on August 1st, and there's one September 1st.
Okay, so if you could
information to share.
If you can send that email to Sancha Jackson and copy me on the email, that would be great.
Sure.
All right, thank you very much. Any other questions? Again, I will be doing this again on the 20th of August. Again, this is the first one. And I really do appreciate you taking your time to hear this. I would ask that you spread the word that we're going to do this again. As you may see in some of our social media, we're continuing to advertise. Our registration is ongoing for our early childhood, as well as all of our registration, which is online. If you have any challenges, you can always go to the Parent Center, which will be another resource for you, as well as emailing Mr. Ruiz, who is overseeing our registration for the district. In the chat, it says our next conversation will take place August 17th at 2 p.m. And prior to school, and then once the school year starts, I will be doing another one of these in September again, and one in October. I would like to do one each month just to kind of update you. We will be putting up regular updates on our social media platform, on our district webpage, as well as information on our marquee. And so I want to thank you for your time, consideration, and attention to this first of many listening and learning sessions. So everyone, if there are no further questions, comments, I would thank you and bid you a great day.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the update.
All right.
Good luck.
Thank you very much.